All right, so let's create an array. So we're going to have an array of integers. So my array, and I'm going to have the following values in it: 100, and let me make it some max size. Oops, wrong brackets. So max size, and max size we're going to declare in a minute, but let's put some values. So it's 100, it's 8, it's -4, it's 10, and it's 95. We're doing, what is this called? Do you remember? Last time we did, this is called what type of initialization? List initialization. So we list initialize our array, and then here we're going to do constant int max size, and we're going to make that, let's say, 5. Okay, so now I want to write the function that's going to tell me what is the maximum and what is the minimum. So let's do int get min, and then to this I want to pass my array. So I'm going to pass it as arr. I need to give it data type, so int arr. Then you have to put this. This is how you tell the function that this is an array. So you put these square brackets, and then here we're going to have the body of the function. I'm going to do it this way first. Another component that you should pass to your functions is the size of the array. But then somebody's going to look at this code and you're going to say, well, professor, you have max size as a global constant. Isn't that visible in that function? Yes, the answer is yes, it's visible. But let's hold this thought for a second. Let me first demonstrate this. Then we're going to see why you should always pass the size of the array. All right. So I pass this array, and then here I'm going to determine so I'm going to have local variable int my min, and I'm going to set that to the first member of the array. So it's arr sub 0. Then I'm going to loop from the second position to the end and compare. So I'm going to say for int I is 1, I is less than, here we're going to use max size, and then I++, and I'm going to test. I'm going to say if my min, or if, let's say, arr sub I is less than my min, then my min is arr sub I. And then eventually, when I'm done, I'm going to return my min. So I'm going to compare element by element. I say arbitrarily, first one is the lowest. Is first one smaller than the next one? Yes, remains my min. Is first one greater than the second one in this case? If that's true, then I make my min the second one, and so on and so forth. All right, so let's copy this. Let's put it here in the function prototypes, and you can get rid of this variable name arr. Now let's call our function, and we're going to call it, we can either do an int here, lowest value, and then we can have the function return that into lowest value. So lowest value is get min, and then the call here is a little bit different. It's just like any variable. So my array, that's all you're going to say, my array. And then here we can just say the minimum element is and then here we're going to say lowest value, end line. Okay, so this is going to compute the minimum. It's going to return that to us, and you see how the code is much simpler than your code that you were working on when you pass multiple values and you need to figure out which one is the smallest and so on and so forth. So here it is in Etherpad if you're behind. Where's my Mozilla? Okay, so let's run it. Let's see what it does. So minimum element is -4. Is it? Yes, it is. Now, why is it important that you pass maximum size? Let's declare another array. Let's say int your array. And then this array is going to have max size 2. And we're going to figure what that is. And then here, let's initialize it. Let's do 100. Let's do 8. Let's do -4. Let's do 10. Let's do 95. Let's do -11. Let's do 18. And let's do 25. So this array is a little bit bigger. So now I want to compute. Here I'm going to say the minimum element in my array is, and I want to compute the minimum element of your array. So the minimum element in your array is, and I'm going to call the lowest value after. So I print the lowest value for the first one, and then here I'm going to say lowest value is, then I'm going to say get min, and then here I want to pass to it your array. Okay, I wrote one function, and the function should serve me well, right? So let's compile this, and oh, doesn't know what max size 2 is, so let me declare that constant. Let's try one more time. Constant int, and let's make that, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's make that 8. Now go ahead and compile and run this. It says minimum element in your array is -4, but it's not. It's really -11. So I have a problem here. So how do I solve this? Well, I could write another function, say get min for this one, and then maybe they're going to give me another array, then I'm going to have to write get min all the time, right? For different arrays, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep I want to write one function that I can reuse. That's the whole purpose of writing functions. So what we can do is we can write this function a little bit better. And by that I mean you need to take it to another level of abstraction. And here we're just passing array, and we're realizing, okay, this is global, we can pass that. We don't have to pass that, we can see it in here. But if we think a little outside of the box and say, what if I write this function once and it can handle any array I throw at it? And to do that, I'm going to introduce another parameter here. I'm going to say int arr size. So this is size of the array that I'm passing. And then instead of max size, I'm going to put arr size. ARR size. And then we're going to change the function here. We're going to do another int. And then here when we call get min, yes, this is global, but I can pass it. I can say max size, and then, oops, I can say max size here, right? And then here we can do max size 2. Now my get min works very nice. Minimum element in my array is -4. The minimum element in your array is -11. So it doesn't matter how big of an array you throw at it, that function will compute that minimum correctly. Now one more thing that we need to fix. This code is okay, And I say it's okay because it's not perfect. How are we passing array to the function? By value or by reference? By reference. So since we're passing it by reference, we're passing the address. So ARR is nothing more than a nickname for my array or your array. So ARR could change the original. Let me demonstrate. I could simply say here that ARR sub, and let's say I arbitrarily pick 1, 2, 3 is 500. It's 500. So let me print that array. Let me write another function real quick. So void display array, and here we're going to have an integer ARR like so, and we're going to have integer ARR size, and we're just going to print it. So to display an array, we just have a loop for int I equals 0, I less than, or takes on the value of 0, I less than ARR size, I plus plus. Let's display members of this array, cout, and then we're just going to do one by one. So it's going to be ARR sub I and line. So that is my display array. Bear with me for a second, it's going to make sense in just 1 minute. So this is simple void function, it's going to display these things. And here, let me display my array. So let's do cout, and I'm going to do something like this, my array. And end line. And we're going to do that. After we display, we're going to do the same thing for your array. So here, just make it your array. And let's call the display array function. So this is void, so display array, what do I pass to it? My array, and I pass max size. So that's good. And then in your array, do the same thing here where you're calling your array, do display array. And then here type in your array, comma, max size 2. Okay. So let's see what this does so far. I'm going to first display my array, then I'm going to find the lowest value. And which is the lowest value? 1012, position 2. Let's change not ARR 3, but change position 2. Make that 500. Go ahead and run it. And look, it tells the minimum array is 8. And the minimum array is minus 11. So for, one of them it hit correctly, but why is it 8 when I have... Well, take a look at this function. By mistake, I changed it. So if you display your array after, once you find it, you do display array again, and you do my array, and you do max size, you're going to see that one of these functions changed the original. And this is, see, I started with 8 minus 4, 10, 95. Then I said the minimum element is 8. And the reason why minimum element is 8 is because you see here I have something different. I have 500. I have 500 instead of minus 4. And that's because of this line of code here. So getMin is able to change it. And so is this one. Why? Because these are references. The bad thing is you are used to seeing an ampersand, and when you see an ampersand, you say, oh, that's a reference. Here, there's no ampersand, right? So, The notation that you need to look for is this. This tells you that this is an address. Why they didn't put reference there, I don't know, but this is the notation. So this is your key. This is your cue to know that, oh, this is a reference. This is the same thing as that ampersand. So if you don't want the function to change your array, then you need to do what? You need to constant. So constant int. Put a constant reference. And then the compiler will help you. So make these guys constants, like so. And see, now when you run, it's not going to compile. It's going to say, oh, you cannot do that. Why? Because we have constants. So in some instances, you will want to pass your array as regular reference to a function. Example of that is populate the array. You call a function that's going to talk to user, or a function that's going to read data from a file, populate that array, and you want to, in that case, pass it as reference. But any function that has no business altering array members, then array should be passed as a reference, constant reference. So same rules that you learned before, and you see now your code is much safer. Okay, your code is much safer that way. So see, now when you compile, it says the minimum element is -4. You can't alter these things. Does it make sense?